Hey, all. Today, of course, it's Matt Rogers on the Honorable Mention podcast. We've got Tom Kelly from WIP, Sports Radio WIP out in Philadelphia. You can always catch him over there. He's on the show. They also have him do bits right before the game. Let's get right into it. After the Eagles beat the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Bills in 3 consecutive weeks, they open as home underdogs against the team that they beat in the NFC Championship. Is this just more like tackling fuel for the Eagles? Do you think that? Because that's my perspective. I think that I'm kind of, as an Eagles, somebody who is a fan of the Eagles, I'm kind of like, okay, I kind of like this. I think the players in the locker room will respond positively to it. Is that kind of your vibe as well, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, Matt, is Nick Sirianni probably either saw that line or somebody with the Eagles told him about it, and he immediately got a massive smile on his face, because this is a gift. I mean, this is a gift to this team, as if there's not enough riding on this game. First off, just from a standings perspective, like a ton is riding on this game. If the Eagles win it, they basically knock the Niners out of any sort of contention for the first seed in the NFC. But in addition to that, we know the history from last year and all the talking the Niners did after that game. And the Eagles obviously hear it. I mean, Hassan Reddick talked about it after the game the other day. Jordan Mailata talked about it on WIP on Tuesday. And there's no question in my mind that Nick Sirianni saw that and is like, okay, well, this is just a little extra fuel to add to the fire. Now, does
keep your guys focused?
Right. Does this team need that? Probably not. I mean, they're very self-motivated. They know how important this game is, and they have all the extra stuff from last year anyway. But the fact that there are still this amount of people, and if a line opens that way, it's not just a couple people. Like, this is a large portion of the population here that is still doubting the Eagles. I just don't get it. I can't believe they're underdogs in this game, and it only makes it even more likely in my mind that they find a way to win this game.
And you know, going with the idea that you always kind of give the home team the 3, they're saying if this was in the Bay Area, if this game was in San Fran, then the line would have opened up 5.5, you know, tracking in that direction. That just makes no sense at all.
Yeah, and I think, like, there are obviously factors that led them to make this decision. It's not just, okay, well, the Eagles and Niners, the Niners are this much better. They are on 10 days rest. The Eagles are on a normal week's rest, coming off of a week where they had a short week. I mean, when you have a short week, then you play a long, grueling overtime game the way the Eagles played. I think that played into it a lot, and also the fact that the Niners are going to be on 10 days rest. But still, to me, I mean, okay, maybe the line goes from Eagles -3 to -1 or a pick 'em. The Eagles being underdogs in this game, that was legitimately shocking to me, even with all those other rest factors involved.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. DeAndre Swift, or Shady Swift, as I started calling him, is 4th in the league in rushing still. You know, fast forwarding past, you know, any, you know, all the playoff implications of all the ball that's left to be played, is with the way he's playing, is he setting himself up to be that guy that kind of defies the way that the Eagles run this organization, that they actually give him a contract that keeps him here for more than, you know, a year at a time?
No, I've loved DeAndre Swift this year. He's been great, and there is some shady to his game with the cuts and stuff. That being said, I don't think anything's changing their philosophy in terms of how they view running backs. And honestly, Matt, I think they're right. Like, I think as good as DeAndre Swift is, if you're going to win sustainably in this league, one of the worst things you can do is invest significant resources into a running back, whether it's money, whether it's draft picks. I just don't think you do it. And it doesn't mean you don't need a good one. It's obviously very valuable to have a good one, but they're just too easy to get for lower prices. I mean, the fact that the Eagles this offseason were able to go out and trade a 4th-round pick for DeAndre Swift, have him on a relatively low money deal, and he's giving them this level production, like top 10 running back production, there's going to be somebody else next offseason who they can get in kind of the same scenario. And, you know, I would love him to be back. I just don't think with the way they run things and the way they view that position, I just don't really see it happening unless DeAndre Swift, there's just no market. And I don't think that's going to be the case. He's a good back. Somebody's going to pay him. So I would be surprised if he's back next year.
I am shocked that Penny, first off, I think that what you're saying is what they're actually going to do. I agree. I don't think anything changes. Obviously, the fans are gonna want that. They want to keep him. He's a St. Joe's prep guy.
Understand,
but I'm shocked that Penny. I don't know if Penny's got 20 carries. I need to pull that, but I don't know if he's got 20 carries all year.
No. I think he has. If I'm correct, I think he has 2 carries. Well, he had 2 carries in I think the Dolphins game. You know what? I think he may have had a couple early on in the year. But I just don't think he has anything left. And the Eagles, they're really not paying him much. I think
no, they're not.
It was more when they signed him, led people to believe that he was going to be an important part of this offense because they signed him on like the first day of free agency.
Right.
But they're not paying him much. He came in. I just don't think he's got much left. And who knows? I mean, if Swift or Gainwell or somebody goes down, maybe he is thrust into a bigger role. I just think for whatever reason, they don't trust him as much as the other 3 guys right now.
For the fantasy lineups, folks that grabbed him are sorely I mean, he's long gone from their fantasy rosters, but that's a disappointing for folks. Let alone his own personal disappointment.
And I'm from a fantasy perspective, some of my friends were mocking me on draft night for how high I took DeAndre Swift, but I'm getting the last laugh now. That's been nice.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, he's got you probably in contention. You're in the playoffs, I bet.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, probably not because the rest of my team's that bad, but at least he's been good.
Ooh,
for it.
Yeah. Yikes. So Diana Rossini from The Athletic, formerly Sports Illustrated, reported that all-pro linebacker Shaquille Leonard is visiting the Cowboys today, and as in Tuesday, and potentially the Eagles on Wednesday. Do you think, there's a lot of buzz saying that they're going to try to make sure he doesn't leave the building? Do you think that he ends up joining the team with that relationship with Sirianni and all of that? And if that were to be the case, how do you think he fits?
Well, I don't know. I guess that depends on what he's looking for, really. I mean, both options honestly make sense. Both teams have a need at linebacker. You would hope that relationship with Sirianni, and I know they probably didn't work that closely together in Indianapolis, being on opposite sides of the ball. But, at least they know each other. At least they have that relationship. I would love to see the Eagles sign him. I mean, he's a quality player, seems to be the kind of guy to be able to fit into this scheme. The Eagles don't ask a ton from their linebackers, so it's not like, you need a guy who can do a lot of things that most linebackers
Fred Warner.
Do. Right, exactly. It's not like they're looking for that kind of a guy, and especially now, losing Zach Cunningham, and I don't know how long he's going to be out for, if he's going to be back this week. I haven't really seen the reporting on that yet, but I mean, Zach Cunningham has played well for them this year.
Yes, he has.
As a guy coming off the street, has really done a nice job, and you just have very little behind it. I mean, Morrow's been okay. Christian Ellis stepped in and did a nice job on Sunday against the Bills, but the more these guys are out there, the more teams are going to attack them, and especially if you know you're going to be without Cunningham for at least, even if it's the next couple weeks, you got to find a way to solidify that position. And I'd absolutely do it if the Eagles could get it done.
Yeah, it's similar. The linebacker of the Eagles is the running back of the Eagles. Is that they always feel like they can go and find a guy who they can fit in there who will be just as good as the next guy, or relatively. They don't invest really. I guess they did the 3rd rounder on Dean, but Dean is hasn't really contributed that much this season. I'm shocked by that. Yeah.
I mean, he's been in and out of the lineup, unfortunately, with the injuries. That's been a big part of it. And hopefully, if they get Nakobe Dean back, he could step up and really give them something moving forward defensively. But I just don't think you can rely on that. And I think if you have a chance to go out and get a guy like Leonard, he's a really good player. I think you got to take that opportunity.
He's 28 years old.
Yeah, man. And you don't want to let one position upend an entire season. Like that can happen. And I'm not saying you need great linebackers, but
No.
you need competent ones. And this is a good player at a position of need. And I hope the Eagles do get it done.
Yeah. Keenan Allen is on pace, not talking about the Birds for a second. I think I'll get back to the Birds for sure. But this guy, I looked at it, he's got 97 receptions already, on pace to, just by, percentage. You can't have a fraction of a reception, but he's at 149 points in some change. Do you think he gets it done? Obviously the 149 was set by Michael Thomas in 2019. Do you think he can actually keep up that pace and break that record?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. The Chargers are probably going to have to throw the ball a lot, considering their defense isn't very good, and they're just I would say probably the most disappointing team in the league this year. Like, you could say
without
the Jets,
question.
but the Rodgers injury kind of threw all that.
You can't really be disappointed after 4 plays.
No. So yeah, I mean, maybe Keenan Allen breaks that record, and if the Chargers are happy with that, that would be great. But man, their season has just been a total disaster, and he's having a great year, but I think it's just going to be another situation of like a player has a great year on a bad team, and that's unfortunate.
It really is. And so interesting, the trajectories of those careers. If you would have told a lot of people, especially in the Philadelphia area, that Justin Herbert would be a guy who's repeatedly now not made the playoffs at all, and Jalen Hurts has taken his team within 3 points of winning the Super Bowl, and is 27-2 in the last 29 starts, people would have been shocked if we could, travel back in time and tell people that.
Well, Justin Herbert's overrated. Okay, like I'm all the analytics people want to tell me how great Justin Herbert is, and I'm not anti-analytics or anything like that.
Right.
But there are some people out there who'll tell you how unbelievable Justin Herbert is, and it's not his fault. It's like when you're losing every close game, and it's like I tweeted this out the other night, like with Staley and Herbert, they're like the anti-Sirianni and Hurts. It's like,
yes,
Sirianni and Hurts, there's something about whatever their DNA, whatever it is, they find a way to win close games. There's got to be something involving Justin Herbert that whenever there's a close game, he doesn't pull it out. Is it always his fault? No. But the other night, I'm watching the end of that Ravens game. They're down 3. He gets the ball after Justin Tucker misses a field goal, which never happens, near midfield, and you can't get your team into field goal range. Like that's on you. If you're a great quarterback, you get that done.
If the trajectory of the franchise was going in the other direction at the quarterback position, that's why MVP is a quarterback award, because they have the ball in their hand so much. That's the logic for why, quarterbacks are really the only people who are really considered for that award. If they were 8-3 or 9-2, or whatever the case may be, he would be in MVP contention. Why is it that only because his team's not finding a way? Exactly what you're saying. I mean, the Chargers are total frauds. I think we talked about this.
Yeah, I'm sure we have, because I mean, if you can't tell, I really don't like the Chargers, so I probably have brought them up before. But yeah, I think Staley's a terrible coach, and Allen, I'm not telling you he's a terrible or Herbert. I mean, I'm not telling you he's a terrible quarterback. He's not. He's good, but I mean, at some point, wins matter, and he need to win some of these games. And I mean, I'm still not over the fact that they blew a 27-point lead in a playoff game. Like that's a stain. I don't remember the Oilers, Bills Frank Reich game back in the early 90s, but I mean, that's the worst collapse I've ever seen in a playoff game.
Absolutely. Until it actually was completed, I was sure that it still wasn't going to happen. I'm like, these guys are blowing it, but they're still going to win the game.
Well, that's how we all
We're
felt.
going to be talking about this all week.
These teams don't blow that kind of lead, especially in the postseason. It was incredible. I mean, they're just losers for whatever reason.
Well, one of the reasons that folks might say is because of their coach. Do you think, what's it going to take to save his job, or is his job bulletproof?
If the Chargers bring Brandon Staley back next year, they should fire whoever made that decision. I mean, he should have been fired after the playoff game last year. He should have been fired probably a month ago. They've kind of squandered this season. So, I mean, in my mind, there's nothing he could do, barring like winning out and going in the playoffs, like making a run to the AFC Championship game, there's nothing he could do to save that job in my eyes.
If he was in Philly, he'd have been gone. I mean, it would have just been unbearable. I don't know what the San Diego media is like, but I figure it's not. It's probably a little more laid back than what the Philadelphia sports media is like.
Yeah, and I just think there's less pressure there, and he's fooled people the last couple of years, but I just don't know how you can stick with him now. And then we forget to even mention, back in that final game of I think the 2021 season when they're playing the Raiders on Sunday Night Football for the last playoff spot, and he like calls a timeout at the end of the game when the Raiders are like playing for overtime to basically give them a chance to win the game. It was just unbelievable. He's just a bad coach. A tie that's what it was. A tie would have gotten both teams in, and he did something to motivate the Raiders to run a play, and they lost the game and they missed the playoffs.
Like completely outthinking himself. It's amazing to watch, guys. So let's go through some of this slate. They've got, of course, most of you guys will catch this before Thursday Night Football, where we have, quote, America's team. They're 9-point favorites at home against Seattle, who's another wild card playoff team in that same strata. Do you think that the Cowboys win? Do you think they cover the 9 points?
I think they win. I think 9 is tough to cut. That game is in Seattle, you said, right?
No, it's in Dallas.
Oh, it's in Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Then I'd probably take Dallas to cover. I think if it's in Dallas, they probably win. I don't think Seattle's that good. So, yeah, I'll take Dallas to cover.
If they had Walker, I'd give Seattle more of a chance of actually winning the game. I think they forced Dallas to play a tougher game, 6-7 points. I don't think they cover, but I definitely think Dallas wins this game. So
yeah, I think Dallas wins clearly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Denver finally facing another team that they're now in the playoff contention against, another wild card matchup, or not. If two wild card teams played each other later, it would be potentially Denver and Houston. Houston's 3.5-point favorites at home.
I like Houston in that game. I don't know if I'd lay the 3.5 because it feels like it could be a close field goal game, but I've been really impressed with the Texans. I mean, I think when you're looking at like that short list for Coach of the Year, DeMeco Ryans has to be on there. You're looking at the MVP, or I'm not MVP, Rookie of the Year, C.J. Stroud has that already wrapped up in my eyes. So
yes,
yeah, I mean, I think the Texans, the Broncos are hot right now. You got to give them credit for kind of resurrecting their season after that awful start and giving up 70 in Miami. But I feel like they're due for a loss at some point. I think Houston gets it done in that game.
I agree. I think, and I think they cover as well. I think Houston's just a superior team. They'll show that, but cheers to the Broncos. I did not think that they would go on this kind of run. I thought it was another totally lost season, and they'll probably hang around playoff contention for the remainder of this thing.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson, he's not the same player he used to be, but he's shown he can still play well enough to win you games. I mean, he's not going to win games single-handedly anymore, but he can kind of manage a game a little better now. I'm not the biggest fan of Sean Payton, but I'll give Sean Payton credit. I mean, he's done a good job keeping that team together because after last year, things could have really spiraled for them. But, they kept it together, and it's been pretty impressive what they've done.
Absolutely. Finally getting the ball, throwing it up, letting Sutton do a lot of jump ball stuff. It's good to see. Mm-hmm. Player that hasn't really got a chance to sprout. Kansas City, 6.5-point favorites in Lambeau. What are you thinking about that game?
I like the Chiefs to win, but the Chiefs weirdly play a lot of close games. Like last week, they fall behind 14-0 against the Raiders, come back to win it convincingly. I definitely think the Chiefs win, but I mean, if I had to pick, I'd probably lay the 6.5. But if I'm actually looking to bet, I'd be weary of laying it just because the Lambeau's a tough place. I believe it's Sunday night game. So I think the fans will be fired up. So that could be a game that's closer than people expect.
It's And the Packers are playing better. And Jordan Love is kind of finding his sea legs as an NFL quarterback. The Packers are in wild card contention. Interestingly, there's definitely a scenario where they find their way in. So there's a lot of motivation there. Historic franchises. It's going to be a fun one for Sunday Night Football. Not a snoozer like some of them have been so far.
No, I think that'll be a good game. Definitely on Sunday.
Well, the one that people probably listen to this one to hear us talk about was the 49ers are 2-point favorites at Philadelphia in a rematch of the NFC Championship from last year. Who do you think wins? And what? Give me a roundabout as of early in the week score prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a score yet. It's I think too early to throw one out yet.
It is early. I
think the Eagles win. I mean, I'm at the point now where, and it might sound like, very base level analysis here, but I'm not going to pick against them until they lose. There's no reason to. There's no
nice.
reason to believe they're going to lose a game. And until they show me that they're going to falter, there's no reason for me to think they are. I know they're playing good teams, but we said coming into this stretch, how are the Eagles going to get through this run of, right. Dallas and Kansas City and Buffalo? Well, they're 3-0 right now. You got San Fran and then at Dallas, at Seattle. I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles won all three of these games. I'll put it this way. I'd be much more surprised if they lost all three than if they won all three.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'd honestly be more surprised if they went 1-2 than if they went 2-1. So
right.
I think they're going to find a way to win this game. It's probably like 27-24, something like that. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Eagles win.
Yeah, there's something to be said about finding a way. I mean, even back in the day, Mark Sanchez on the Jets, there was a period of time there where Mark Sanchez even became one of those quarterbacks in that system at that time where you did not want to give the Jets the ball back with, a go ahead situation. And the Eagles they've become one of these teams where you just cannot let their quarterback Jalen Hurts get the ball back at the end of the game.
No, you can't let him hang in a game. And it's the last 2 weeks. They played bad in the first half offensively, like really bad offensively in the first half. But the Chiefs and Bills both just let them hang around. And if you let them hang around too long, their talent is going to show eventually. And, Jalen Hurts, you can hold him down for a while, but I think he and the weapons he has on this offense, they're really hard to hold down for 60 minutes. And if you don't take advantage of all your opportunities, and the Bills didn't, the Chiefs didn't, the Cowboys didn't, then you're going to get beat. It's that simple.
And with Goddard, you expect Goddard to be back?
I mean, I don't know how close he is. I think it obviously was encouraging they didn't put him on injury reserve right away, but I think this week would probably be a week too early. I think Dallas is probably more realistic, but if he could play this week, that would be huge. Obviously, he's a great player.
Absolutely, it might move the line to more of a pick'em situation late in the week where they release that.
Yeah, maybe. I think it might affect it like a point or so. I don't think it'll move it too much, but yeah, it's possible it could influence it a little bit.
The Sixers have the best point differential in the NBA at 8.7, which is an interesting thing. Cowboys fans love the point differential at the moment. I get the faults of it because you get to beat up on teams that shouldn't even be on the floor with you. But at the moment, they're 8.7 in the black, as they say. Do you think that they get to their customary second round appearance this year, or are we more of a first round team despite the excitement?
No, I think
excitement.
They're probably a second round and out team, and they're more fun to watch. There's no doubt about that. But in the end, I think their destiny is kind of the same. I don't think you get into the playoffs. I don't see them beating Milwaukee. Don't see them beating Boston, and probably don't see them beating Miami. So if you can stay away from those matchups in the first round, you probably get through to the second. But in the end, I don't see them going any further than that. But right now, we'll see what other moves they make. But as of right now, I don't think they get out of the second round.
No, it's in 7 games, the talent of the NBA with only 5 guys on the floor gets to shine through. It's unless Embiid's, giving us, 45, 20, and 10, then all bets are off. If he's doing that every night, then they can beat anybody. But that's a lot to expect from a guy who hasn't had the chance yet to really show that kind of stability and durability for the playoffs thus far. Yeah. Maybe he does it this year.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask, and until he shows that he can stay healthy for a full playoff run, it's hard to believe that he can. So hopefully he can, but that there are going to be those questions until he actually proves it.
Kind of the opposite thing with the Birds there. You're like, until the Birds give me a reason not to believe in them, I'm not picking against them.
Right, exactly.
So where can folks hear you for the rest of the week on WIP? And people can go and listen back to you on the Odyssey app if they miss you live.
Yeah, I'll be on WIP late night Thursday night, Friday evening, Saturday evening. So I'll be on all those days, and then I'll be doing the Eagles halftime show on Sunday during the Eagles-Niners game, and a recap after as well. So, that's where they can find me this weekend.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining, and look forward to seeing you another time. Take care, Tom.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.